It's weird, isn't it? Because you always kind of think the wanting to be liked gene is strong in performers.
Right.
And then some people come along and it's like, no, they don't care.
Graham Norton has welcomed hundreds of celebrities onto his red sofa, creating some of the most entertaining interviews on television. His show thrives on lively banter, funny stories, and unexpected moments. But not every guest has been a delight. Some have been downright difficult, uninterested, or just unbearable. Over the years, Norton has subtly hinted at his least favorite guests, and in some cases, he has been quite direct. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's appearance on The Graham Norton Show in 2013 became one of the most uncomfortable moments in the show's history. Unlike most difficult guests, who are either disinterested or uncooperative, Wahlberg was the opposite, far too engaged. He arrived on set visibly intoxicated and quickly took over the conversation in ways that made everyone uneasy. As the episode unfolded, Wahlberg interrupted fellow guests, including Sarah Silverman, with crude remarks and erratic behavior. At one point, he sat on Norton's lap, draped his arm around him, and slurred his words as he attempted to joke with the host. Silverman did her best to play along, but Norton's discomfort was clear. He later described the experience saying, quote, "He was just out of it. I mean, really out of it." While Wahlberg has a reputation for being charismatic in interviews, this appearance showed a different side. Fans were split on whether it was hilarious or cringeworthy, but Norton had to work overtime to keep the show on track. Wahlberg later addressed the incident, saying, quote, "I had a few drinks beforehand. I was enjoying myself too much." Mickey Rourke.
But there you are with one of your dogs. Is that Loki?
That's Loki. That's the one that had, that's the love of my life, yeah. And my agent called me up and he says, "You had to bring it on the red carpet, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes." And I was hoping she took a big piss there, but she didn't.
I get it. I love my dog too, but I have a pit bull, so she's much bigger.
Now,
Do you?
Yeah.
can I see the picture of
Mickey Rourke's appearance on The Graham Norton Show was the opposite of lively. Unlike Mark Wahlberg, who created chaos, Rourke seemed like he didn't want to be there at all. His answers were short, his energy was low, and he barely engaged with the other guests. Norton was known for his quick wit and ability to keep conversations flowing, struggled to get anything out of him. At times, Rourke gave such vague responses that Norton had to follow up with multiple questions just to get a full sentence. The awkwardness was obvious, and the conversation often stalled before it could go anywhere. While Norton handled reserved guests in the past, Rourke's disinterest made for one of the most difficult interviews. The atmosphere was made worse by Rourke's body language. He leaned back, looked bored, and rarely made eye contact. His unwillingness to participate meant Norton had to carry the entire segment. Kevin Costner.
In the DVD extras, there's a thing where you're directing the film, but there's a bit where you're having to direct wolves.
Yeah.
And you were having to, like, encourage the wolves.
Sit. Yeah, well, you know, I tell you, I remember when we got these wolves, there were real wolves, and I don't know, you ever think of, like, salesmen who, like, you know, carpet thing? Vacuum cleaner guy.
Kevin Costner's appearance on The Graham Norton Show was not explosive or chaotic, it was simply awkward. While Norton thrives on humor and quick exchanges, Costner's serious demeanor made it difficult to keep the conversation entertaining. He wasn't rude, but his energy didn't match the lighthearted nature of the show. Throughout the interview, Costner responded to Norton's jokes with flat, matter-of-fact answers, often missing the entire humor. That banter seemed to hit a wall. Norton has often spoken about the importance of guests understanding the tone of the show. In a discussion about difficult interviews, he once remarked, quote, "Some people just aren't made for this format. They don't get it, and that's fine, but it makes for a very long show." Robert De Niro is one of the most respected actors in Hollywood, but he's also known for being notoriously difficult to interview. His appearance on The Graham Norton Show was no exception. Unlike other guests who bring energy and humor to the couch, De Niro offered little more than short, hesitant answers. Norton, who was used to lively discussions, had to work hard to keep the conversation from stalling completely. Throughout the interview, De Niro's responses were minimal, often amounting to little more than a nod or a few words. Norton, sensing the challenge, attempted to tease more out of him, but the legendary actor remained reserved. The contrast between De Niro's quiet demeanor and typically fast-paced nature of the show was impossible to ignore. At one point, Norton even joked, "This is hard work, Robert," highlighting just how much effort it took to keep the interview moving. While De Niro's reputation for being a difficult interviewee is well known, it didn't make the experience any less frustrating for Norton. Harvey Weinstein. Before his downfall, Harvey Weinstein made an appearance on The Graham Norton Show, and it's one interview Norton likely wishes had never happened. At the time, Weinstein was still seen as a powerful Hollywood producer, but his reputation for being controlling and overbearing was already well known. His presence on the show was uncomfortable, and even before the full scope of his crimes became public, it was clear Norton did not enjoy the interaction. During the episode, Weinstein dominated the conversation, frequently interrupting Norton and other guests. His arrogance was palpable, and rather than engaging in the usual lighthearted banter, he seemed more interested in steering the conversation towards his own accomplishments. Norton, who usually handles difficult guests with humor, appeared visibly strained as he tried to keep the show on track. Years later, after the revelations about Weinstein's misconduct shook the industry, Norton distanced himself from the disgraced producer. Speaking about the experience, he admitted, quote, "I had no idea at the time, but looking back, you do think, oh, that makes sense." Daryl Hannah. Graham Norton has interviewed hundreds of celebrities, but when asked about his worst guest, he's always said Daryl Hannah. Unlike others who were disruptive, arrogant, or humorless, Hannah's problem was a complete refusal to engage. Norton has described her as the most difficult interviewee he's ever had, calling the experience excruciating. Hannah's appearance was marked by one-word answers and long, awkward silences. Norton found himself struggling to get anything from her. In a later interview, he recalled, quote, "She just sat there saying nothing. It was like she had been dragged there against her will." Unlike De Niro, who was quiet but still present in the conversation, Hannah seemed entirely uninterested in being on the show. What made the experience even more frustrating was that Hannah's reluctance to speak left Norton with nowhere to go. While some difficult guests can be handled with humor or redirection, her unwillingness to participate made the entire interview feel like a lost cause. Graham's favorite guests. While The Graham Norton Show has had a fair share of difficult guests, many celebrities have made lasting positive impressions. He has frequently spoken about the stars who fully embrace the fun of his show. Tom Cruise has appeared multiple times and is known for his enthusiasm and willingness to participate in whatever chaos unfolds on the couch. Unlike some Hollywood A-listers who remain guarded, Cruise has always been fully engaged, laughing along with the jokes and sharing personal stories. Norton has praised him, saying, quote, "He just gets it. He comes to play, and that's why people love him." Cruise's commitment to entertaining both the audience and his fellow guests makes him one of Norton's all-time favorites. Lady Gaga's appearance on the show was another standout moment. She arrived dressed in a massive over-the-top outfit and immediately embraced the show's playful tone. Rather than just promoting her music, she shared funny and self-deprecating stories, making the episode a fan favorite. Norton later said Gaga was brilliant, noting how she understood how to balance being a global superstar with being a fun and approachable guest. Julia Roberts is another one who has consistently brought warmth and humor to the show. As one of the most famous actresses in the world, she could easily just keep her guard up, but instead she's always been relaxed and engaging. Now it's time to hear from you. Who has been your favorite guest on Graham Norton's show? Let us know in the comments section below.